Pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon? But of course. Hey everybody, how's it going? Decided to pull some Rolls Royces out of the garage today. We're going to check these out. I know all of you remember that famous little Grey Poupon commercial where the guys pull up in their Rolls Royces and they do that little tagline there. I just couldn't resist it. All right, so we're going to take a look at a couple different models of Rolls Royce and over about I'd say 4 different manufacturers here. And also, you've noticed I brought the mini garage up here because the mini garage is where this particular Rolls Royce lives full time. And so I thought, you know what, let's show the mini garage in this segment as well. We'll have a little fun with that, okay? All right, so this is some examples of what's considered the world's finest motor car, the Rolls Royce. And the two you see on the turntable here, I'm going to get the turntable fired up and going here. This is called a Phantom 6, okay? And I have 2 versions, one from Tomica, one from Yatming. And once again, I'm going to show you the disparate differences in the quality of the casting between the two. Interesting thing about this Phantom 6, so it has a very similar appearance to the Silver Cloud that was built between about 1956 and 1965. I believe this body style, the Phantom 6, it came out in 1968, and would you believe it ran all the way until I think 1990? They kept it in this style. Reason why is this was not a regular production Rolls Royce. This was a Rolls Royce that was built expressly for people who needed a chauffeured automobile. Okay, and so this car kept its classic styling for all those decades. Just little minor detail changes and engineering changes here and there. But it's a very roomy car meant to be, driven by a chauffeur, and the, VIP rides in back there, okay? All right, so let's do this. Let's kind of move this guy out of the way for a moment, and we'll put the Yatming at center stage here. So, once again, we got good old Yatming here, and their never-ending litany of defects. I'm going to point them out to you. All in all, this version's not bad. I've seen a lot worse. One of the biggest problems these have is there's always big plastic casting flash on top of those headlamp buckets there. And, this is obviously an older Yatming because it's got those, skinny wheels. In fact, when they started doing the reissues of some of the older castings in the 1980s, and they were marketing them under those Woolworth brands called Speeding Wheels, this was one of the castings that didn't make it. So this is actually kind of a rare car because of that. I've never really seen the updated versions of these with the updated wheels and everything. But one of the biggest problems with this one, I don't know if it'll show up in the camera here. I'm going to put this extra light on. It seems to always help out. So you see a lot of bubbling is on both doors here. Especially this one. This one is really severe. That right there looks like it would, under normal play, that would probably eventually lift. But since this car spends its life stashed away in that little garage there, it should be fine. It's got a nice shade of a red interior. And these would have been powered by Rolls-Royce's famous 6 3/4 liter V8. That's a fairly accurate representation of the chassis. I know that they had those braces under there for sure. But yeah, these cars were they were built by request only. You couldn't walk into a Rolls showroom and buy one of these, which is pretty much true of any Rolls Royce, unless you want a pre-owned one. Then they'd have those readily available. But had a rather large trunk to carry a lot of gear, a lot of interior space. You can imagine the incredible appointments they had. All real wood, all real leather that's been hand matched. A lot of them had what was called a mouton carpet, which was almost like fur. It was so soft and thick. And they have a very sophisticated, a hydraulic system, where the hydraulic system controls, it's one hydraulic system that controls everything. The steering, the power steering, the brakes, and also the suspension. The idea is to make the riding experience, as just, effortless and like riding on a cloud as possible. All right, so that's the Yatming version. Now I'm going to show you the vastly superior Tomica version, which is absolutely beautiful. You'll notice this one's a slightly different shade of silver. This is almost more like a pewter color. That one there, the Yatming, That's more of like a what Rolls Royce calls their color shell gray. That's their word for silver. Um, this Tomica, as you can see, is very well built. The details are very crisp, very high quality. You'll notice that there's a little bubbling on this paint. Just a small little defect up there in the roof you can barely see. This car did not come in a blister package. I bought this one loose. So this one was actually very well preserved. This has a much brighter red interior. The one that was in the Yatming is almost like an oxblood color. This one's more like a traditional bright red. This has a, let's see if it's got one of those build dates on it. Yeah, there it is, 1976. That's a casting from 1976. Ah, yes, the nice smooth closing doors. Yeah, very high quality. And if you compare them side by side, you'll really see it here. I'm going to close these up. You know, these doors actually don't close half bad, but this one here has a tendency to gap outward a little bit. You have to really push on it to get it to cooperate. You can really see the difference in the quality in the casting. I mean, it's just remarkable. Everything on the Tomica is just vastly more well defined, much more crisp, much more better represented, and of course, you know, the paint quality is second to none. All right, let's take a look at another interesting little, I call them inexpensive diecast. So this is a Rolls Royce. It's a two-door Silver Shadow. Now, when a Silver Shadow was built on a two-door platform like this, it was generally done by one of their coach builders they use called Mulliner Park Ward. The four-door Silver Shadow was a regular production car. Not that they did it on an assembly line. It was just a car that they had regularly produced in their shop there. But whenever there was a two-door Silver Shadow such as this, it was always done by, the coach work was done by Mulliner Park Ward. This is a casting by Playart. And this is an older Playart. You can tell by the wheel design. It has, like, I call them the flower pot wheels, because they kind of look like a little flower petal, flower pot, whatever you want to call it. Not a bad casting. You have a major paint bubble right here, so their paint quality leaves a bit desire. Something that the Playart people gave you was an actual Spirit of Ecstasy Flying Lady hood ornament, whereas on the other castings you didn't have that. This car came out of a blister package, and that's one of the main reasons the little Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament is still intact, because most of the time you buy these pre-owned out of the package and this has been broken off. So the fact that this was so well preserved is a testament to that. Very interesting, kind of like a, I don't know, we call that a pea green. One of the things you can tell, this is an early Silver Shadow because it's got the smaller bumpers and also the lack of headrests on the front seats. So this is probably like a 68, 69 model, maybe a 1970, somewhere around there. But yeah, Playart did a commendable job with this car. You know, it's got, you know, decent details. I like the fact that they cast the steering wheel separately. And flip over, show you the underside. Back in these days, the early days, they were using a metal chassis, which is good. You can see right there it says Rolls Royce Silver Shadow, made in Hong Kong. It has a rivet up front, and then there's no rivet in the back. It has this clipped right there. So this is not the most stable construction. But since it's just being on this display, I can promise you this. I got a set of Playarts one year as a kid. It came with this special truck that was sold by Sears. And I don't know if I know you Gen Xers probably remember this thing, but it had little push buttons on the top, and you turn it on and you could steer it and make it go forward and reverse with the push buttons on the roof. It was some kind of an auto transporter. And it was really neat. And my parents, they got me like 8 different Playart cars to go with this truck, and they fit on there perfectly. And every one of those Playart cars, they didn't even make it to their second birthday. They were just falling apart wrecks by the time I got done with them. And that was just normal play. I wasn't really abusive to my toys the way a lot of kids were. But there we go. That's a nice little Playart version. Now we're going to take a look at a nice Matchbox version. This is a Silver Shadow 2. made by Matchbox. They came out with this casting in 1979, I believe it was. And this car came in 3 colors. I have 2 of the 3 colors. You have this nice silver, the beautiful red you see in the back there, and there was also kind of like a champagne gold color, maybe even a light brown. It depends on how you view it. Everybody's got different views of the colors. But as always, Matchbox does a great job with their cars. This one came out of a blister pack. It had been in there for over 4 decades. Unfortunately, there was a paint bubble because of that. That happens sometimes. But Matchbox did a great job replicating these. And why not? In these days, they're made by Lesney Products of England. They were right there in the home area where Rolls Royce was built. And these cars, these were one of the most heavily produced Rolls Royces there were. They made the Silver Shadow between 1966 and 1980, and over 2 different generations. The Silver Shadow 2, I believe that was sold between 1976 and 80. They had a little bit bigger bumpers, extra little fog lights on the bottom there, a little air dam underneath, a few improvements to the interior and things like that. They were using the famous 6.75 liter V8. And would you believe this? I gotta tell you guys this. So, back in the day, General Motors is actually making some excellent stuff. And Rolls Royce, believe it or not, uses, in these years, they were using a GM Turbo Hydromatic 400 transmission that they would build an adapter for to mate it to their engine. And they were also using their GM's Frigidaire A6 compressor, that real big long one, because of the cooling capacity was just so tremendous in those. But, I think about the only things on these cars that weren't hand-built was when they would do the welds for the body. Those were done by robotics, but everything else was put together by hand. All the wood was hand-finished, the leather was hand-matched, hand-stitched. Everything was just done by hand and using only the finest materials, and that's why these cars were so expensive. There was a high degree of quality and engineering that went into these. And I like Matchboxes from this era. They have a little suspension on them, which is very nice. It's got perfect chrome on it, as it should, being the fact that it was preserved in a blister pack. I'll show you the beautiful red version. This is my favorite one. I just love that red color with that kind of Rolls-Royce would have probably called that interior color magnolia. That's their word for like an off-white. And this one, unfortunately, now I got this out of a blister pack, but unfortunately there's some paint nicks on the door. So I imagine that somehow that happened at the factory. It had to have, because I didn't do it. Then in 1981 is when they came out with the Silver Spirit, it was called. This one has a little bit sticky door. You see right there the little minor blemish there. And then there's a little nicks on the door right there. You notice this one's got the little headrests on the seats as befitting of a later version of the Silver Shadow. See, these are the extra lights I was telling you about right here. Low suspension. Yeah, this is one of the it's one of the nicest colors I've ever seen them do. Rolls Royce. All right, so there we go. We got Matchbox, Playart, Tomica, and Yatming. I hope you enjoyed the Rolls Royce show and my little joke in the beginning there. All right, let's do this now. We're going to switch gears. Let's move these guys off to the side here. And I'm going to show you this little mini garage. All right, now, move this turntable out of the way. There's a car in the mini garage that I haven't showed you guys yet. It's going to be featured in a future video, so you're going to get kind of a preview of it today. So this one here, it lives in here permanently. All right, so this little mini garage. This was made by Road Champs, and it came as part of a gift set that included one of those little gas pumps that you've seen in other videos. I've kind of done a preview of those. And, once again, it was an example of a car company, just, a cheaper Asian branded car company, diecast car company, competing with Hot Wheels and all that. Because everybody, Hot Wheels, Matchbox, they all had their own little play sets. So, Road Champs, built by Yatming, they had their own stuff too. So how this little guy works is, I'm going to demonstrate this for you. It actually is like almost like a car launcher. So you flip this little lever and it opens the door. Okay, I'm going to make sure I don't want any cars in the line of fire here. I don't want anything getting hit. All right, and then you see this little button here. Okay, you push this little button, and there they go. They come flying out, and they don't go terribly far, but there it is. And it's it's a very cheap little toy. I mean, it's not impressively made, but it's very simple. But you know what? I can imagine, I didn't have this as a kid. I kind of wish I did because it's kind of cool. My brother and I would probably had a lot of fun with it. And knowing how much we used to make believe with our cars all the time, this would have been a nice accessory to have. But there you go. There's a mini garage and some Rolls Royces. And then as I told you before, this here is a car that's going to be in a future video. This is a Mercedes-Benz 450 SE. And by the way, this is my crappy one. I have one that's actually better than that, and it's a Yatming just like it. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. Had a lot of fun showing you the Rolls Royces in the little mini garage today. And you guys enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.